Lord Almighty, right, so I've just disconnected and I think my entire internet just blacked out for a quick second there. I'm not too sure what happened, but I'll find a way back into the server and we'll get back to Ground Effect Racing the commentary shortly. Also, I realised that my mic was muted because on the headset that I'm using, it has this little control thing, and I think I muted that last night and didn't realise it was muted, so I've been muted the entire time and not even noticed, which is great. And did I check beforehand? No. Why? Because that would have been responsible. And am I responsible? Not really. Anyway, view platform profile. I'm going to join through Atom's thing. And we'll be back running right away. But I'll spectator anyway, so it should be okay. Okay, we're back. Welcome back to the Ground Effect Racing League. We're here for the Cota Sprint. Now, I've had a bit of a technical issue, so we've missed qualifying, but stayed Daisy to pole ahead of Thomas by 3/10. And also the first lap, there was a collision between the Haas of Elite Bleeder, the V-Carb of McCuckin, and the McLaren of Romlawn, all spinning out at turn 2, doing a little rotation. But we're now back. We have this beautiful battle up front between Stade Daisy and Thomas. Meanwhile, there's battling further back. I think Jammy's lost a lot of places. Not too sure what's going on here, but he's missed out on the opportunity to capitalise and take the lead of the championship back in Las Vegas. And then here, in Abu Dhabi, he did play out a very good strategy. I think, did he get ahead of Atom? Not too sure. We'll find out later on. McCuckin just got ahead of Elite Bleeder, so Emon ahead of the Elite. Meanwhile, having a look back through the order. So we're heading down into one of the more sharper corners on the track. There's more leader looking for a move, and the Williams getting out of shape there. He was on the back of GRL Atom. He lost the place earlier on, probably went out disconnected, but around the outside through the stadium wiggle goes more leader, leading Kirst, and now Kirst in the cursed position of 5th, 2 places lower from where he started. He started in 3rd, now he's in 5th. As meanwhile, I think Elite Bleeder and Alpha Heated. Oh, did McCuckin go round? I think McCuckin in the 77 V-Carb went round and spun. Meanwhile, Alpha Heated and AJ Nolan, the other AlphaTauri, ahead of the better placed Haas cars. Alpha Heated ahead of his teammate Elite Bleeder by 1 place, by 2 now, as into turn 1. As Alpha Heated gets up into a hotter place known as 11th, which is hotter than 12th as it's better on countback, but getting into 10th would be a bit better as he'd have a point to show for us. Meanwhile, this camera angle's so good, I'm going to take the graphics off a minute and just let you enjoy it. You can see the cars up at the turn 11 corner on the top left, just about, as we head down as McCuckin gets a penalty and retires. So I'm not too sure what happened there, but is that a safety car? I don't think it is at the moment. So but there's a bit of a train developing here from 3rd all the way down. They're all separated by about half a second to a second of each other. Meanwhile, as a gamer getting very close to the back of the Williams, he's looking for a move. He's looking to put Kirst back into a more cursed position. We have Elite Bleeder battling with the McLaren, the 2nd place in the McLarens, battling for 13th with Elite Bleeder. So Romlawn versus Elite Bleeder, who's currently looking to be elite in 13th, but he's not at the moment. He's bleeding in 14th. As Romlawn is meanwhile Kirst has just got the curse of a black and white flag penalty, so he's the 5th one in the race to get a penalty. Make that the 6th? No, just the 5th, but Nanu's got another penalty. So not good for Nanu, who's actually on the back of Jammy, which is not what Jammy needs. Jammy and Nanu are close in the championship. Nanu's very close to jamming the championship. If he scores enough points, he could get close enough. Remember, he outscored both Ferraris, Nanu did, in Abu Dhabi, and he also finished 1 place behind Jammy in Las Vegas, and obviously Atom didn't attend Las Vegas, so Nanu really clamping down on the Ferraris, being just a little one. Pablo Montoya getting in the way, just being a pest at them at the moment, being the one thing that's keeping them from probably being able to battle each other. Meanwhile, the Williams, we look at from the back of the Williams, the Atlassian Williams versus the Stake Sauber. Stake Sauber looking to kick past the Williams. We look on board with Razza Gamer, who razzes down the inside of Kirst, and Kirst, he looks like that car is struggling to turn. It looks like he's turning a hearse round the stadium wiggle as he heads on the outside of the Grand Plaza. It's a grand move by Razza Gamer. We should call him Razza Grand, should we say, anyway. Granda Gamer? I don't know, doesn't work. Anyway, we have one of the Hasses going a little bit wide. We have the other Hass. Then we have Alpha Heated with the V-Car. We have this battle with Romlon, who's about 2.5 seconds away from AJ Nolan. But he's also got half a second between him and 14th place. 3/10 separating more leader from the championship leader of GRL Atom. Atom, the 77 Ferrari, no, the 13 Ferrari, should I say. Ahead of Atom, ahead of more leader, should I say. As wide there for the Williams. Kieran Nye gets another penalty. Mercedes having a bit of a sloppy one when it comes to penalties and aggregate disadvantages. As meanwhile we have Jammy heading down, looking to spread some jam on 8th place. Meanwhile we have, I think AJ Nolan's just gone off. He has. AJ Nolan spins on another costly mistake for AJ Nolan, and the V-Carb day gets worse. The Faenza-based team having an absolute fail, and AJ Nolan, he's always up there, but he always has that one mistake that absolutely stabs his result in the back. Absolutely raw, but not needed for him. As we on the Mercedes swapping places at the stadium. Remember, the Mercedes battle for the championship back in 2015 at Cota, and Hamilton actually won the championship in real life F1. There's another spin. That can't be AJ Nolan again, can it? No, it's not. Not too sure who it was, but as AJ, as more leader in the Alpine, looking to get past the Ferrari down the inside of Atom. Goes the Alpine. Atom staying behind him though and not letting him get too far away. Elite leader and Romlon also swapping places as Elite leader up into an Elite 12th position. But as you can see, more leader getting ahead of GRL Atom. That's crucial points lost for Atom, and that'll put a smile on the face of Jammy and Nanu, although Nanu's out of the points, which is not nice for him. Owen Bozzy behind the Williams, as well as they head, as Kirst as well, getting very close to Razak Gamer. He might be able to shape up for a move on this final lap. Look at that Atom here in the slipstream. We go off board with the Ferrari, and look at that, he's going to go to the inside, and GRL Atom takes the podium away from the Alpine man. More leader does not lead the charge to 3rd place for the podium. Someone just went wide, and Owen Bozzy's all over the back of the Williams of Kirst. Is he going to go for a move? He isn't, although he actually is. He's gone for the move. The Williams has left a gap, and Owen Bozzy looking for a move, not going to get it though. Meanwhile, Stay Daisy has stayed in the lead the entire race, bar the first corner, and as you can see, he wins the Cota Sprint, the American Grand Prix Sprint, the first of the 3 American races, as Las Vegas comes up next week. Kirst with his penalties drops. Oh no, Kirst really dropping down the order. What's happened to Kirst? Kirst spins on the exit of the last corner, as you can see in the top of the screen there. He spun out of the final corner. Yeah, look. So he spun out the final corner, and he's dropped from about 6th, 7th to all the way down to 13th. That is an unforced error that that he didn't need to make, I must say. While he stays in 13th, the elite leader, the Stay Daisy, stayed in the lead all race. That means 8 points for Stay Daisy as well. GRL Atom gets a further 6 points, outscoring his teammate Jammy by 2. And unfortunately, Nanu not able to score a point. I think he finished 10th without the aggregate disadvantage of the penalties. But yeah, very interesting race then. As we can see the incidents. Yeah, it's all the same stuff. As there we go. Right, I am back on chat. Hello chat. I'm going to share the stream yet again. New stream. I'm also going to share it. Well, should I share this to? I don't know. I'm going to share this to Vantage if they want to watch. But yeah, we're here in Cota then. Cota obviously made in 2012, hosting races for F1 for IndyCar back in the day, and also at the moment for WEC in their 6-hour race, the Lone Star Le Mans, which was won by Kevin Est in the number 6 Porsche. Also, speaking of America, we had another race at America, the Battle on the Bricks at Indianapolis, the 6-hour race for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Which was a great race, won by the Cadillac. Cadillac's first win in IMSA for a long time. Cadillac have been doing really well as well, as they won in WEC and they've won in IMSA. And next year in F1, we wish them the best. But we head into proper qualifying then. They're qualifying for the real race, the real long, tough, grinding race. And it's going to eat up these drivers. Meanwhile, we have the Williams of Curse heading up to turn 1, looking to make amends from that spin. Meanwhile, we have on the Ferraris. This is GRL Atom, who's heading out of turn 1. We're going to stick with him as he's very important. He's the guy leading the championship. So if he makes any mistakes, it could cost him big. It could be a big bill to pay in the championship fight. So he's got to be careful as he heads through the S's. There's Jammy ahead of Atom at the moment. 4th and 5th for the two Ferraris. The McLarens are 1 and 2. No, they're not, as Atom splits them. But the McLarens and the Ferraris up at the top. Now the V-Carbs joining in the party as well. 3 teams very close to each other. Razor Gamers just popped in for a chat in the top 3. And also Elite Bleeder also knocking on the doorstep of the top 3 as well. The Red Bulls and the Mercedes struggling to make as much of an impression. But Razor Gamer as well, very close to the top of the times. As Jammy goes down a couple places, Atom stays up. Elite Bleeder up in 2nd after his pretty underwhelming race. Now, in the sprint race, he's now up into 2nd. Now Jammy's... oh, they're changing like absolute mental. But now Raz is ahead of Elite Bleeder. And Jammy and Atom in 4th and 5th. Jammy ahead of Atom. Can Stay Daisy take a 2nd pole position on American soil here in Ground Effect for season 3, I'm pretty sure. Heading out, Stay Daisy does take pole position, only by a 10th this time, as there's a couple of people disqualified from qualifying. We'll find out who they are soon, but a much closer qualifying than last time out in the sprint. But yeah, very decent race so far. But there is your order then. Stay Daisy ahead by just over a 10th. Then comes the Haas and the V-Carb of McCucken and Bleeder, who are both separated by about 600ths of a second. Again, very close. The Ferrari and Molida, again sandwiched in the Ferraris, separated by 500ths of a second as well. So very close gaps. 4,000ths of a second separating Rom Lawn from Nanustar. Absolutely mental. As... yeah, can you get any closer? I don't know. I guess they'll probably get closer next week, won't they? So tune in. As meanwhile, as I share the stream to my server, or to another server, should I say? Just gonna share the stream around for promotion, as if If you don't know, I'm trying to do real life commentary, so any promotion I can get is absolutely vital. But we're here in Cota then. Yeah, obviously Cadillac joining next year, but that will be something good for the North Americans to cheer on. It's a shame they can't bring that gorgeous V8 from the sports car that they use. It's a shame that they can't use that in the F1 season next year. But yeah, also the Aston in WEC as well. I'd thoroughly suggest listening to that, as it is beautiful. But meanwhile, so we wait for the race then. Bit of a hold here. Not too sure as of why, but yeah. How's everyone doing? How's chat doing? How's life? How's everyone doing? I'm doing good at the moment, I must say. As we'll get to commentate on Ground Fair Racing League and put it towards other events that I may or may not be doing next year. So yeah, very exciting. Anyway, here we go then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on ahead of the drivers. The lights are gone. We're rolling here in Cota, and it's a beautiful start by Nanu, who's jumping cars left, right, and centre. The Haas down the inside. The McLaren takes a wide line but stays ahead. But as they go through turn 1, there's wide for one of the V-carbs. Getting barged out, I think that's AJ Nolan getting hit by Kieran Nag as they head down turn 2. Not too many spinners I see heading through. As well, actually I say that, and Williams straight in the wall. That's cursed. Hit with a curse of wheel damage, or suspension damage, and that takes him out of the race. 3 wide further behind, and I think that is a virtual safety car, because that was a huge shunt for the Williams. Oh my lord, I hope he's okay, because if that was in real life, I reckon that would be a concussion. As there was a crash in MCL in Season 1, in that league's first ever race, in MCL in F2, with Lando, Max Clark, Ashley Curtis and Dottie all crashing out at that same bit that the Williams just went off at. And they all received a heavy whack to the wall. So I can only imagine if the Williams is feeling similar. Anyway, we're back under green flags, and the V-carb of AJ Nolan has really got a massive bunch of an Armageddon of cars behind. 3 wide further back. That's Jammy getting involved in a scrap with Thomas and Lloyd. Jammy can't really afford to be in this kind of scrap. He needs to go after Atom, but at the moment he's pranging around. And look at that, the Aston nearly round. What else is happening in this bunch of cars? Lloyd goes through. I didn't even realise he entered the race. I think he joined after the sprint. But heading through, they're side by side with the Mercedes and the Aston Martin. We head through the penultimate corner as the V-carb looking to make a move. Meanwhile, the Haas behind the McLaren. There's Ron Lawn battling with Owen Bozzy. And Bozzy looking to go back ahead of Ron Lawn, looking to be the Boz who takes 12th place. But Ron Lawn looking to ride around the outside. There's nearly side-by-side contact with Kieran Nag and Tomos. Kieran Nag being nagged back into 11th place. As there's Raza and Atom, I think that was, nearly battling. And they're still very close to each other at the moment. We have Nanu. No, Kieran Nag, should I say. Kieran Nag and the Mercedes. But the Mercedes, the McLaren, should I say, is a 1-2 sandwich. It was a one last sandwich. As meanwhile, there's battling with Lloyd and the Aston Martin, who are both going down the hill here over the straight. The Lone Star Straight, heading into the 12th corner. There's also Lloyd losing not just to Lloyd, but also losing out to Kieran Nag, and he looks like he might even lose out to one of the Haas's behind as Alpha Heated looking ready to go for a massive dive here. He looked around the outside at the the wiggle and the Red Bull down the inside. That's Owen Bozzy, the teammate of Lloyd, looking to go long round the outside of Alpha Heated, and as they all go round the Grand Plaza, a very pleasing move there by Owen Bozzy, but it didn't result in anything. But that means the AlphaTauri, the Toro Rosso should I say, the V-Carb, whatever name it is right on the back of the Red Bull. Meanwhile, we head back up front. Raza Gamer takes the lead. The man who's won the most races in D3 in this league has taken the lead ahead of State Daisy. Then comes Elite Bleeder, then comes GRL Atten, then comes Emon McCookin, then comes Nanu Star, then comes the Alpine of Mall Leader, then comes the man who's runner-up in the championship, Jamuse, fighting the man in 4th place, GRL Atom, for the championship. The two Ferraris battling for the championship, but the man directly in between them, Nanu Star, in 6th in the Mercedes, has also got a very good chance at leapfrogging both Ferraris if they mess up too much. Meanwhile, AJ Nolan and the 2 Red Bulls, the 3 Red Bull branded cars, going through turn 11, the second of which has got a penalty. Owen Bozzy getting a penalty, and meanwhile, Raza Gamer has been penalised by State Daisy, and now State Daisy has taken the lead back from Raza Gamer. Good move there by the McLaren. Meanwhile, the other McLaren gets to watch this great battle as Lloyd and Nolan side by side. Nolan very quick, let's hope he can get back in the mix and not make any more mistakes that punish him too bad, as down the inside he doesn't make the move stick. Or does he? He's keeping there. He's really giving Lloyd a headache here. Owen Bozzy's broken away, but he has that penalty hanging over his shoulder, so that's going to hurt him on aggregate. Meanwhile, heading up the order, we have Raza Gamer, the man who's won the most races out of anyone in D3, with 3 wins at Vegas, at the Dutch Grand Prix, and at the Australian Grand Prix. Oh no, actually if there is Vegas, Cota might be the penultimate round. So actually, this is the 3rd race on American soil. I thought Vegas was coming afterwards, but no, actually. I've just had a brain fade. But yeah, so actually this is the penultimate race of the season as well. So I think Brazil comes after this one, if I'm not mistaken. So they've really got to watch out. And no. Apologies. Not make too many mistakes towards the end of this campaign. Meanwhile, Atomans Thomas becomes the second man in this race to get a penalty. That's going to really sting on aggregate. Meanwhile, I think Raza Gamer looking for a move again. That Sauber looking very punchy. He's gone looking on the inside, had a little sniff. Nothing to whiff. And he's now on the back of the leader, State Daisy, who's ahead of Raza Gamer. Can Raza maybe muscle this way past? I don't think he can at the moment, but as Thomas and Jamie are battling in the background, side by side, round the Grand Plaza corner, all the way around the corner that's referencing the Turkey 8th corner, the 16th corner here at America, is really challenging Thomas and Jamie. Thomas defeating Jamie on this round. This means Kieran Nag looks like he can have a little tango, shall I say, with Jamie. Meanwhile, the leaders very close to each other. Keep an eye on that battle. We also have the AlphaTauri battling, or looking to battle the championship leader. I thought my leader was up behind Atom, but it looks like compared to the sprint anyway, Molly's a little bit further back from Atom than he was. There's Nanu Star as well, looking to maybe make up places. As we head through the S's here, we get this great camera shot of them all going through the S's and down into the most southern point on the track. It's now heading out of that corner and down the straight. I think the leaders are about to do battle again. State Daisy staying to the outside. Raza Gamer looking to maybe razz away past, but he's not going to make a move yet. Nothing high definition as of yet. As he's battling with Rom Lawn and AJ Nolan. Rom Lawn in the McLaren gets ahead of the Toro Rosso, and Rom Lawn passing the second of the 4 Red Bull branded cars. And he's got another Red Bull branded car up ahead of him, the actual Red Bull based car. who's trying to catch up to Alpha Heater, but he does have a little... Oh, Owen Bozzy round, as I say that. Owen Bozzy has got a bit dizzy, and he's retired from the session. Owen Bozzy, that is a shame. Owen Bozzy retires from the session after a brilliant race, and after a little half spin. He had so much potential this race, but he's gone out the window again. Whereas Owen Bozzy, that is not a nicey sight, I must say. But heading through the S's, State Daisy having a very nice sight in front of him, of no cars in front of him, but he also has a very scary sight of this. Razza Gamer catching up to the back of him, and really giving him a bit of a hard time. Meanwhile, there's a yellow flag as well. Is that still for Owen Bozzy, or is that for someone else? I think that's still for Owen Bozzy. But yeah, sector 1, so it is for Owen Bozzy, as the V car trying to catch up to the McLaren. Still going down the straight, still pressing on. Razza Gamer not dropping too far back, but not getting close enough either to make a move into that corner. Meanwhile, I think there's battle in there. More leader getting barged off by Nanu Star, and there's contact there with more leader and Nanu Star. They head round that corner. The Mercedes now loses the place to Thomas as well. They're 3 wide into the end of the stadium wiggle, into the Grand Plaza corner. Contact between the Aston and the Mercedes. The Renault engined Alpine gets ahead of the Mercedes and Nanu after being barged off at the turn 12 corner as they head out of the Grand Plaza section. That was absolute robust stuff. Almost British Touring Car Cup action, as I said in Abu Dhabi, between the two Ferraris. The British Touring Car Cup looks like it's being referenced here in Ground Effect Racing League with the racecraft here, as it was absolutely frantic. As although British Touring cars aren't open wheeler cars, this grid certainly makes it look like touring cars at certain times in the way that they race. But heading round, the S's squiggling through the S of states. That's a complete made up thing. I mean, meanwhile, enough of gibberish. We have the Aston Martin on board with Thomas. He's now got more leader in front of him instead of Nanu. More leader does get closer, as meanwhile, look at that, Jammy is also on the back of Nanu now. So if Jammy can get ahead of Nanu, that'll really help his championship chances. But Kieran Nagg's there, and if Kieran Nagg doesn't get eaten alive by the Haas in the way that more leaders get eaten up by the Aston Martin, so the Aston Martin up into 6th. I think AJ Nolan's just been passed by Lloyd, the only Red Bull left in the race that isn't white. Meanwhile, but yeah, as I was saying, if Nanu can not get, if Jammy can get swallowed up, oh no, I was saying about Kieran Nagg, wasn't I? Kieran Nagg could not get swallowed up by Alpha Heated there, and if he can catch up to Jammy, he can really make Jammy's life a little bit difficult in trying to pass Nanu, in the same way that the Alpines made Turbo Chris's life a nightmare in Austria. Meanwhile, actually, Jammy's life is not going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a pit-stopped one. Where is he? There he is. So the first man to pit in this race being Jammy. Fitting on, does he fit on jam colour tyres? No, he doesn't. He fits on some, I guess, option tyres. No, prime tyres for this race, should I say, which are the hard tyres. So I think everyone else is on mediums, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, everyone else on mediums. So I'd like to go off this this little logic of the 2012 kind of reference of tyres, where the hard tyres that everyone's on would be called the prime tyres, and the option tyres would be the softer tyres. Obviously no one's on softs at the moment, but I guess the mediums could be your option tyres, and sliding there is one of the Mercedes, and your hard tyres could be your prime tyres. So there's 3 people currently on the prime option, as they have more of a prime tyre. That's battling up ahead with the for second place. This is important. There's on the outside there for Elite Bleeder, who's going around the outside of Razza Gamer. Razza Gamer not having any of it, pinching him to the inside, clipping his apex, clipping his end plate, and now the man on hard tyres in the Haas runs into the back of Razza Gamer, but keeps it on the outside of the Grand Plaza. Great move by Elite Bleeder, an elite bit of racecraft there, as Razza Gamer boxes after battling he accepts his fate and pits a lap after Jammy pits. So the pit stop window looks like it's creaking open for some of these drivers. As off of the, so the degradation must be high if they're pitting this early from the mediums. So yeah, this is gonna be good. Just meanwhile, that means Atom is up into the podium for the time being. As we have, so where's Jammy gonna come out compared to Razza? Jammy comes out behind Razza by a lot. AJ Nolan rejoins the session. AJ Nolan didn't even realise he's disconnected, so he's got reliability issues, as I call them, reliability issues with his internet. Side by side there with the Haas of Alpha Heater, just trying to find a way past Kieran Nag, say tag and leave him in 9th. So will Kieran Nag go down to 9th, or will Alpha Heated stay behind in 9th? The Haas, it's looking like he's closing. He is going to go to the outside of Kieran Nag. And is he going to get the move stick? Yes, he is. And Kieran Nag locking the rear brake. I'm going to take the tyre things off because they're getting in the way a little bit. Also, can we just say Tom Oz has gone up 11 positions from where he started. Great racecraft by Tom Oz so far. Razza pitting, losing 11 places, but that's just because of his pit stop so far. Oh yeah, just shouting out Thomas there. That's been a great start from him. In 9 laps, he's gone up 11 places. Meanwhile, there's Razza Gamer getting ahead of one of the V-carbs. The other V-carb nearly spinning on the pit entry. Lighting up the tyres on the pit entry as well. Kieran Nag's in the pits as well. So who else? There's Razza Gamer. Where's he going to come out compared to McCucken? We're going to try and spot the white Red Bull looking car coming out the pits. We can't see him. He's just out the pits. He's just behind his teammate, look. So his teammate AJ Nolan ahead of McCucken. Jammy behind McCucken. Interesting. So, and State 80, your race leader, has just been given a penalty. That's going to really hurt him in aggregate. Absolutely shocking. Meanwhile, Tom Oz ahead at the moment of more leader, looking to catch up to Atom and sliding out of the southern corner, the most south corner on the track, just past the Lot L bus stop for the tourists around the track. Meanwhile, there's battling here with the Mercedes, who's looking to the outside, more leader, battling with Nanu again. Nanu not going around the outside. Is he potentially going to get a move on the Alpine? No, but Tom Oz ahead of Nanu Star at the moment. We can see him at the moment. There, look, you can see if you look all the way to your left, you can just about see the Aston Martin. Not too sure what this camera angle is, but it's not really a good one in my own opinion. Can't really see a lot. But heading onto a back camera angle of all 3 of these drivers, 4th, 5th and 6th, as there's a little slide there from Nanu Star. As the V-carb swapping places, the reliability issues for AJ Nolan still hampering his race and costing him a spot to his teammate. Meanwhile, we have more leader ahead of Nanu Star, but behind Thomas. Meanwhile, Razza Gamer gets ahead of Romlawn, who pits. I reckon Romlawn will, yeah, he comes out ahead of Jammy. Will he come out ahead of Kieran Nag? I don't think he will. Pretty tight, but no, he doesn't come out ahead. But heading through, oh, Razza Gamer, very quick at the moment. He's pushing on those hards, trying to set some times to be able to undercut and overcut as many people as possible in the pit stop run. He was in 2nd before, but he's pushing to maybe overcut Stay Daisy, maybe even on aggregate. But there's AJ Nolan getting passed again by Jammy. Reliability issues still hampering his race here on lap 11. Meanwhile, there's a bit of a train here with these 4, more leader and Nanu Start behind Thomas. But the Haas of Alpha Heated as well getting involved on the action here. So this train's something to keep watching. There's McCucken on the inside of the Red Bull. Good move there. Just look and see, I don't think there is a battle behind. But there's Lloyd being passed by McCucken, who is on a pretty good one at the moment. Red Bull giving him wings, it looks like, ahead of the senior Red Bull team. And and also ahead of his teammates. So very good stuff there by McCookin. Let's see what he can convert that. As meanwhile, Tomo's in the pits. He breaks away from that Quadrio, and now is in the pits. That means Mall Leader has a bit of a gap now to Nanu Star, who's struggling on those mediums. He looks like he's going to be vulnerable to Alpha Heated, who looks like he's saved his tyres a bit, and now he can maybe push on to catching up to Nanu Star. So Thomas in the pits, down to 12th. He's behind both Ferraris. The Ferrari, did Adam just pit? I think he did. Adam just pit. I didn't even see that. Adam pit, and he's now 1.5 seconds away from his championship rival. So that's going to be something to watch. Also, Mall Leader going, Nanu Star going this long. I'm surprised of all people Nanu Star's going this long, because normally he has a reputation for ruining his tyres. But he's really grown and really improved on that this race, carrying those mediums longer than anyone else is able to. But it looks like he's going to have to do some battling on them now, as he's going to have to go around the outside of the Alpine and Mall Leader. This is battling for the, at the moment, podium, but not going to be the podium after they make their mandatory pit stops, as Lloyd and Jamie swap places, Kieran Nag and AJ Nolan swap places, Thomas as well swap places with AJ Nolan. I think Alpha Heat, did Razak Gamer just swap places? No, he didn't, as the Ferrari's making an assault on Lloyd round the outside at the Squiggly Stadium, should I say, is Atom, who's now right on the back of his teammate. So heading round the Grand Plaza, as meanwhile there's everyone from 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th have just pit. So Alpha here, Nanu Star, Mall Leader and Stay Daisy have all pit. That means Razak Gamer's up into 2nd place now. Razak Gamer could be on for the lead. Stay Daisy comes out the pits. Where does Stay Daisy come out? He comes out ahead of the Ferraris, who are battling into turn 1, the championship rivals, side by side, through turn 1, Jamie and Atom side by side. Here we go, round the outside goes Atom, who takes the place from Jamie. Jamie though right on the back, and there's a yellow flag, not too sure what's happened. I think Kieran Nag's had an off. Kieran Nag off, we'll cut to him later on, but there's a battle between these two that is really heating up. We're going to cut back to Kieran Nag, who looked like he had a bit of an off. These guys are really close together. Meanwhile, AJ Nolan getting passed by Mall Leader. There's also off in sector 2. That's it. Oh, off. There goes Nanu Star. The Mercedes, who could potentially take the championship from the Ferraris, is off at the S's. And that's going to be, that S will mean sad for Nanu Star. Not having a bit of a sloppy spin there. Not a great place to be parking. As meanwhile the Ferraris still trying to work their way into the position that they'd like to be in. Both of them want to be higher than the other, but obviously there can only be one person ahead of the other. As Nanu here, he's lost a lot of time here. He's locking up as well. Is he struggling on his tyres? He's got wing damage. Understeer, wing damage. This is all coming undone for Nanu. Not the best. And he's now crawling back to either the line or the pits, depending on if he's changing that wing or not. As meanwhile, as Razak Gamer... Oh, was that Kieran Nag that I was looking at then? It was, so Kieran Nag's got the wing damage. Into the pits goes Nolan. And Nanu... Does Nanu have damage? I don't think he does. Oh no, so it's Kieran Nag who had the spin, not Nanu. My mistake. Apologies. Meanwhile, we have Ron Lorno and Kieran Nag out of the session after his spin at the S's. Just something so that I don't make that mistake again. I'm going to put the lap data up so that it shows what name I'm on. Anyway. AJ Nolan out the pits. In plumb last we have Razak Gamer, who's catching up to Elite Leader, but Elite Leader does have to make another stop. He has to pit, otherwise he'll be disqualified. So I'd recommend him pitting this lap. He's 1.5 seconds away from his fastest lap at the moment. So, but the Ferraris have also pulled away from each other, look. So Atom ahead of Jamie after that pretty decisive move through turn 1 and 2. There's his teammate looking up at the stadium swiggle. There's Lloyd ahead of Thomas. Will Thomas be able to muscle his way past the Red Bull? The only Red Bull left in this race is being dive bombed by the Aston Martin. Obviously the Aston Martin used to sponsor Red Bull back in the late 2020s. or 2010 should I say, but the Aston Martin is now ahead of the Red Bull. Did O'Bozzy just go off? I think he went wide. He did. And he's now got under pressure here from Nanu, who's down the inside. And sliding out of the penultimate corner for Lloyd, the man who's the second most winningest driver in this league, behind Razagamer, as he's only won 2 races. Razagamer's won 3 here in D3 in Grand Effect Racing League. And they're 3 wide into turn 1. This could end well or badly. As a big dive from the Haas, that's going to leave him vulnerable on the exit. The McLaren looking like he's going to get the move done on the Red Bull. And there's contact between the Red Bull of Lloyd, who swiggles his way out of turn 2, nearly spinning but just keeping the car straight. The Haas of Alpha Heated, what a move! 2 cars in 1 corner. Alpha Heated bringing the heat. Sweaty move there by the Haas driver in Haas's home race. That is something to smile about. But meanwhile, something else that Stay Daisy would like to smile about is getting ahead of that V-Carb, who careers him to the inside, but Stay Daisy locking up, keeping the car on the inside, giving enough respect to Eamon McCucken, who's down the inside, keeping the move. Or is he? Because as they go through the stadium swiggle on the inside into the Grand Plaza section, round the Grand Plaza, McCucken, great defending by McCucken, really keeping Stay Daisy at a staying in 4th position. That's a terrible thing. Anyway, as into the pits finally comes Elite Bleeder, bleeding those tyres to the very end, as McCucken now under pressure for 2nd place, as Stay Daisy looking to potentially get ahead of the Toro Rosso, as out of the pits on option tyres for the moment is Elite Bleeder, who's going to come out ahead. Oh, it's going to be tight here. Side by side contact with the Alpine here for Leader. And now as they head round turn 2, who's going to come out ahead here? They're side by side. The Haas ahead, heading through the Maggots and Backets complex. Well, the American version of Maggots and Backets. As they head through, there's Lloyd in the pits. Back to this battle then. I think is more Leader still battling Elite Bleeder? Doesn't look like it. We'll cut back to that in a minute. But this battle for 2nd place is heating up as well. McCucken versus Stay Daisy. Stay Daisy doesn't want to stay in 3rd place for much longer. He goes to the inside, but he gets taken to the inside more like by the V-Carb, but the V-Carb can do nothing to defend against the DRS power of him. And meanwhile, on the inside goes Elite Bleeder on Jammy. I didn't expect this. I thought Elite Bleeder was going to get passed by More Leader, but I shouldn't have underestimated him, as he goes past the man who's 2nd in the championship, and More Leader's the one who's losing positions. This battle has turned out completely different to what I thought was going to happen. My predictions got out the window, like Tom Bellingham saying there's no red flag in Baku in the real life Grand Prix. But heading around the Grand Plaza section, Tomo's ahead of More Leader now. More Leader and Elite Bleeder going from being right next to each other and barging each other at turn 1 on lap 17. By the end of lap 17 are now separated by 2 cars, one of which being the runner-up in the championship. As one of the Mercedes going to the inside there. What's that about? Is that ducking for... Oh, that's trying to break the toe from the other Haas. So both Haases on full push mode at the moment. Nicely done by the 2 Haases. Meanwhile, about a second separated this McLaren from that white V car that you just saw in picture. They go over the hill. Stay Daisy ahead of McCucken. Then comes Atom, then comes Jammy, then comes Elite Bleeder, who's in between the Ferraris. Then comes this train that Jammy is in front of at the moment. Ooh. As we head down the straight here, we have the Aston Martin going past Jammy. Jammy losing yet another position, 2 laps consecutively. The Aston Martin ahead of the Ferrari, who's trying to keep the Alpine at bay now. 3 cars with 3 different engine manufacturers in the back of them, all battling. The Renault engine in that blue and pink Alpine, the Ferrari engine in that red Ferrari, and the Mercedes engine in that green Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin's pulling away from this battle as Small Leader nearly got ahead of the Ferrari at the squiggly section. But the Renault power doesn't out-talk the Ferrari power, although he does out penalty him for the moment, as Jammy gets a penalty and that will hurt him on aggregate. As heading down the straight, more leader to the inside, is he? In that Renault engined Alpine car. Not gonna make the move stick here. We look from behind. The Ferrari keeping that that blue and pink car, keeping him behind in 8th place. As they head through the S's. Nanu and Alpha Heated going through. More leader ahead of Jammy. Then into the most southern point of the track. As they head back up north. Stay Daisy and Razagamer switch places. Stay Daisy takes the lead back from Razagamer with 10 laps to go. As they head through the stadium swiggle. Stay Daisy ahead of Razagamer, then comes McCucken. Absolutely mental. As heading through. Ball leader Jammy, then comes Nanu Star. Nearly into the back of Jammy. But yeah, they are very close together, aren't they? As they head out of the penultimate corner, we have the leader still battling. We also have more leader on the back of Jammy. Jammy can't afford to be dropping places like this in terms of the championship. And in terms of even staying ahead of Nanu, who's actually being passed by the Haas here. Alpha Heated block pass in Nanu. Nanu looking to switch back, lighting up the rears on the exit of the corner and dropping 3 tenths behind the Haas. Make that 5 tenths, make that 6. As Jammy also dropping to about 6 tenths behind, or no, he's dropped to about 1.1 seconds behind Thomas, but more leader, about 3 tenths behind Jammy. The leaders though, are they going to switch places? McCucken, McSliding out of the southern hairpin. And Brazza here having a little sniff, not going to make the move stick. They're back to the way they were in the first 10 laps, here on the last 9 laps of this thrilling race here in America. Small leader gets ahead of Jammy. Another place lost that Jammy can't afford to lose. Atom is going his way. Jammy isn't going his way. Alpha Heater, the next one on the list for Jammy to try and defend from. But Razza Gamer, he's out of DRS now, is Razza Gamer. Actually, I should put the map on, shouldn't I? That would help as well. That's what I normally do for these F1 commentaries. As 8 tenths separating Razza from State Daisy. This battle still raging between the Ferrari and everyone else who's behind him, as the next one who is behind him is Alpha Heated in the non-Alpha Haas car. 41 versus the 99. They head over the hill through the S's. There's Jammy going through the S's here. There's the Red Bull, there's AJ Nolan, and there it stayed Daisy ahead of Razza Gamer by just under the DRS window. There's Atom, there's off for one of the Red Bulls, that's Lloyd. Lloyd spinning at turn 2 and now dropping behind AJ Nolan, who's under reliability issues, so he shouldn't be able to be too hard to catch. Meanwhile, the Haas going ahead of the Ferrari. And it's a good move, they make contact with the wing of Jammy. But Alpha Heated does pass Jammy. Jammy's struggling on those hard tyres. I reckon they're dying off and he's losing too much grip. And it's increasing the rolling resistance and making him struggle to keep grip. And that's probably why he's dropped from 6th to 9th in 4-5 laps. Go on board with the Ferrari momentarily. It's Nanu ahead of Jammy. Then comes Nanu ahead of Jammy, who's ahead at the moment of who's behind Alpha Heated, should I say. I think there could be a pass made between the Red Bull and the V-Carb. So head round the hairpin. The leaders still not very close together. And the Mercedes looking to tick the Ferrari off the list. Jammy, two men who are runner-up in the championship at the moment. Can Nanu steal a point from Jammy? Remember, you get 1 point for 10th, 2 points for 9th. So on the inside, he gets casted to the inside. That doesn't matter. Nanu gets ahead of Jammy and closes the gap between him and Jammy in the championship as well. Maybe even overtaking him if I'm not mistaken. But we head around the stadium wiggle. Also the Alpine and the Haas also getting very close together. The Ferrari Jammy is also staying right with the Mercedes of Nanu. Very decent driving so far. As we head into turn 1, I think everyone's just kind of keeping to themselves. Jammy though still staying close to Nanu in that final sector. We could see them maybe battling later on in this 22nd lap of this American Grand Prix, discounting the sprint laps obviously, which there was 10 of them, so it's technically it's the 34th lap that the drivers have done, that the top 13 have done of this race. Head down the hill, I think. Is there going to be a battle between these three? Potentially. As they head down the straight. It's down the straight there. They're not going to make a move stick. Atom as well. An Elite Leader. Watch out for that, because I think Elite Leader is on fresher tyres, so we should be able to catch up to Atom and maybe even make a move. Jammy not able to make a move either. And heading round the stadium swiggle. More leader ahead of Thomas. What's happened to Thomas? He's gone wide. Looks like he lost focus, lost concentration, not too sure. He lost steering for sure as he understeered off at the Grand Plaza and he loses the car. Thomas struggling here, not too sure what happened there. But he does have DRS now, at least. Elite Leader also catching up to the championship leader. That rhymes, lovely. More leader, leading the man 7th. That rhymes as well. Well, kind of, not. But yeah, very peculiar incident there with Thomas. Not too sure what happened to him. But he is still close to this battle here on lap 23. The 35th lap that they've done of this track today. Or tonight, more like. Today at the race, but tonight in terms of British time. So head round the 11th corner. We have going for it. There's the Haas behind Atom. I think there's battling here down the inside. Goes the Aston Martin. Lloyd has disconnected. Reliability issues plaguing Havoc for him, as meanwhile the man who the man in the car that Havoc Gamer drove in Vantage Racing Team, Alpha Heated, who's currently ahead of the Aston Martin, trying to keep ahead of him. Meanwhile Raza Gamer's really held up a little train here. Emon McCooking could be shaping up for a move, and Alpha Heated's teammate Elite Bleeder in 5th place looking to make a move on GR Atom as well, as he's gasping for clear air. There's Thomas in the pits. Thomas in the pits with 4 laps to go. He's given up track position. What is he up to? He's going to lose out to Romlawn and Jammy. What has happened to Thomas? He's gone to soft tyres. Why? Why now? He's lost a lot of places doing so. And he's not really going to be able to make them up again, is he? So that's going to help Jamie and Nanu out. I mean, it doesn't really matter for Atom, to be honest, because he wasn't ahead of Thomas. And I think Thomas is the least of his concerns at the moment. Lloyd in the pits after his disconnection. As this battle here, look at that, McCucken's going to go for a move here on the inside of Razor Gamer. Struggling on tyres. Razor Gamer gets passed by the Toro Rosso of Emon McCucken, who's ahead of Razor. And now Atom looking for a move as well on the Sauber. There's a move here being made by Alpha Heater potentially. No, there isn't actually. As though it nearly was, but it wasn't really put to show. Heading round the long Grand Plaza bend, and now out of the Grand Plaza section into the final corner on the track here on lap 25, the 36th lap that these drivers have done around this track tonight, and onto lap 25 for these guys. Stay Daisy has already started lap 25, hasn't he? He's already around turn 2. He's that orange dot nearest to the 1 on the map, as he's now going to be a bit closer to the number 2 now, isn't he? Because he's going to come up to sector 2. As we head through the S's section, Razor Gamer lost a place to Emon McCucken. Could he maybe lose the podium as well? Lloyd back in the session to maybe claw back some time. As we head down the hill, it's now through the next corner. Now, is Atom going to be able to make the move on Razor then as he heads down the hill? Alpha Heater not being able to make a move, but can the Ferrari overtake the customer car? The Sauber using a Ferrari engine as well as the customer Ferrari cars, you would expect. Meanwhile, another Ferrari engine is going to make a move. It's down the inside, goes Alpha Heated. It's a bit of a dive bomb, but it doesn't get made of anything. Meanwhile, Elite Bleeder with a late dive bomb. The other house making a move up into B4, catching the championship leader off guard. Almost waking him up. Look at that, he's got to go to the inside. They made contact. They nearly lock wheels there. That was almost a huge jump. Ron Lawn gets ahead of Jamie as well in that chaos. And the other Ferrari also under immense pressure from Elite Bleeder, who made a very late dive to go after Atom, catching him out of guard. Incredible, as Razor Gamer locks up behind Emon McCucken. Meanwhile, Jamie losing the place to the McLaren. Jamie behind both McLarens and his teammate. Not the best day to be a Jamie supporter, as Thomas sets the fastest lap, as you would expect on those softs, but why is he giving up all those places? I don't know. As here comes Atom then. Can Elite Bleeder upset the Ferrari of Atom and take some points away in Jamie's favour? Obviously, Jamie's lost a place to Atom. Jamie's lost a place to Ron Lawn. But if Ron Lawn could get overtaken by Jamie again, that would be very helpful for Jamie's championship charge. Meanwhile, we head down the straight again. Can a move be made by anyone? We head down to the hairpin. Contacts with the V-Carb. Emon McCucken hits in second place. The Sauber, the Ferrari, the Haas all queuing up behind. Alpha Heater does get back past. More leader, or does he? No, more leader switches back on him. The Ferrari down the inside of Razor Gamer for third place. That spot on the podium very coveted for the Ferrari at the moment, as they head round the Grand Slam, let me say my words, the Grand Plaza, there we go. So they head into the last corner here on lap 27 of the race. They head down the straight. Elite Bleeder ahead of, behind the Ferrari of Gerald Atom. Late dive to the inside, locking up. Big move. Elite Bleeder takes fourth place. Or does he? No. Atom has the inside. But now he's going to lose the inside into the S's. The contact between the Haas and the Ferrari. Contact again. Elite Bleeder bleeds rounds after spinning. And Elite Bleeders, after an elite dive bomb, to try and get 4th place, now spins and nearly loses 5th. And now he's sandwiching the Alpine of Leader and actually giving him DRS. That's going to hurt Alpha Heated. As meanwhile, Razagamer down the inside of Emon McCook and Calvin Razagamer get runner-up in this race on the penultimate lap. As they head down the straight, side by side, being carted to the inside. It looks like he's going to make the move stick. I'm really having an issue with these cameras today. As heading out of turn 12, as contact between the Hasses. Leader being forced off by Elite Bleeder. Absolutely mental. And now Alpha Heater looking to maybe lick his lips and join that fray. The Hasses looking to launch an assault on the only Alpine left in this race. But Leader ahead of the Hasses now. But he's now being forced off nearly as he goes round the Grand Plaza. Who's going to come out ahead? It's the Alpine, who gets ahead of Elite Bleeder. So Leader leads Elite Bleeder. Then comes Alpha Heater. And now down the inside, forcing him off the track. The Alpine's been forced off by Elite Bleeder. And the Alpine now not just behind the Hasses, but also behind Nanu. Nanu's going to get a load of points here now. As down the inside of the Mercedes goes Elite Bleeder. Nanu getting a couple more points to help him get ahead of Jammy, who's now out of the points because of Tomoz in the Aston Martin. Absolute carnage. Elite Bleeder driving unhinged after his been a lap ago at this very S section. Absolutely mental. Meanwhile, 3 cars still battling in this race, being Aston, McCucken and Raza. As they head down the straight, who's going to come out ahead in this battle? Who's going to come out ahead between the Alpine and the Mercedes? Renault versus Mercedes versus Haas. Who's going to come out ahead? Meanwhile, Razagamer takes 2nd place, loses 2nd place to McCucken. McCucken stays in 2nd ahead of Razagamer. Meanwhile, there's switching for places. Big dive by Elite Bleeder. Bold move by the Haas driver. But he's not going to make the move stick. And now he's going to lose places to Nanu and to Leader. Leader making contact with the Bleeder. As meanwhile, State Daisy wins the American Grand Prix. That's a great drive by State Daisy. You barely even noticed he was in the race. He was that far gone. And a great podium for Emon McCucken ahead of Razagamer, who gets down to 4th on aggregate. That means Atom gets the podium. Alpha Heater gets 5th ahead of Elite Bleeder. Then comes Nanu. Then comes Rom Lawn in 9th. Then comes Tomoz in 10th. Then comes 11th place for Jammy, who, if I'm not mistaken, will have lost the place in the championship to Nanu by now. I'm pretty sure of it. So that's a great race. AJ Nolan and Lloyd are going to be the last two to race. Yeah. Or race to complete their laps. What a race though from Stay Daisy. You barely noticed him in the race, as he stayed in the lead for the entire race. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with next season, depending on his attendance. As Lloyd doing some donuts for the end of the race, celebrating Stay Daisy's incredible win. And celebrating a brilliant sprint race here at Cota here on this Monday afternoon. Beautiful stuff. There's also congrats to McCucken on his first podium in Grand Theft Racing League D3, for at least from what I'm aware of. Congratulations, and that's a great podium for him as well. As celebrating that one, I reckon he should get a bottle of champagne now and start spraying it around the house. So that means the McLaren, the Woking based outfit, takes the win ahead of the Faenza based outfit of Emon McCucken in the Toro Rosso, formerly known as Minardi. Then comes the Austrian of GRL Atom, who extends his lead at the top of the standings. Nanu, I reckon, is ahead of Jammy in the championship now, due to him finishing ahead of Jammy today and also in Abu Dhabi, but also in Vegas as well, being right behind, maybe even ahead of Jammy. I can't quite remember the result of that one. But yeah, great result here, great race. Cheers to everyone who's participated. It's been a pleasure to commentate on. Any last words in chat? I don't think so. No. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will catch you all later on. Before I go, we have Thomas being the driver of the day, most overtakes and fastest lap, the race winner being State Daisy, and the cleanest driver being Ball Leader, who suffered from Elite Bleeder's crash out, it looks like. So yeah, what a race. As that order is from the points taken away from this weekend combined. So that's interesting. So yeah, what a race. What a race. And that is the end of that one. Thank you ever so much for watching. And goodbye.